All right. 93.9 FM, KWSS, and KWSS.org. It's a Dani Cutler show. And those of you who are listening right now, you are listening to a pre recorded interview because we're doing a weird time warp thing right now where it might be Thursday, but it's actually Monday. And I have the amazing Sean Mullaney here from Break the Robot. Hi,
Hello,
Sean.
hello.
It's so nice to see you.
It's excellent to see you.
Yeah, even though I was saying before we started, we've seen each other already because his alter ego is with the Instant Classics, and they've been out there at CB Live and Desert Ridge and downtown, and they're back at it doing their thing. So
Yeah, we got corporate gigs kicking back up, weddings in a couple
I know
months.
it's
So
almost like normal life is heading back. Maybe.
I don't think we'll ever like move past what felt like in the pandemic and like how it still lingers on
I
in other
know.
ways. But I'm hopeful that as we move forward, it's still in a good direction.
Right? I know. That's like all we can do now is just like cross our fingers and toes and eyes and say, okay.
Right? Like it's
Uh,
here still, so it's not like it's avoidable, but you can do your best to do precaution and use precaution.
oh,
Do whatever you
exactly. Well, I was thinking too because the gigs that I've come to see Instant Classics at, I mean, CB Live is like the perfect setup of distance
can.
between band and audience, right?
Yeah, you get the barrier is very strong.
Yeah.
All the places that we do play, like at Copper downtown as well, there's a huge barrier,
Yep.
the beer taps and everything like that. So I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty introverted person in general off stage. So I zip out of there pretty quick after anyway. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's so funny. You definitely do not come off as an introvert when you're on
No,
stage.
not when I'm on stage. No, that's my alter ego.
I love it. I love it. I'm that way too. People are like, you're always so social and bubbly. And I'm like against the wall at Last Exit Live during a show,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
hi.
A reluctant extrovert is what I like to think of myself in this case.
Yes, yes. It's, yeah, I definitely feel that.
I
So,
relate to wallflowers and not just Jacob Dylan.
yeah, right. So, Break the Robot has thankfully kept busy, and you've kind of had a reorganizing, I guess, of the band in general, not just with the sound. We've got Spring, which everyone just heard before the interview started and in rotation now at KWSS. Ding. But you've also changed the lineup a little bit. So tell me about how things have changed for Break the Robot during, I don't know,
Yeah.
2020.
What felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of different moving parts in the band. Sort of, we had a big band to say,
Yeah.
at the start of the pandemic. And as it kind of progressed, certain elements were available and certain weren't. And so as it kind of came to be, I had a lot of material that I'd written that I would like wanted to get out there. And I looked at Break the Robot, and we kind of have always used it as a vehicle for the songwriters in the band to put forth product out into the public through an original vehicle. And so that's sort of what it kind of evolved more into. Only this time around, we took songs that I had been working on while traveling around the world, doing a lot of different other stuff, and writing while doing it. And so needing a band. And so like my thing is that like I'm like, oh, I'm a singer songwriter, but everything that I write is so guitar driven and very like reliant on a full band atmosphere, in my opinion. And so for it to translate properly, like we really wanted it to have a band, and that kind of went away during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else experienced something like that,
Maybe
but
one or two people noticed.
yeah, right. So music went away and we went into hibernation, and we basically got together as a trio. So I had myself and Todd Middleman on bass and Brian Martin on guitar. We met up in pretty frequent amount of times, I'd say, throughout the summer to just kind of go through his material, jam, see what we liked, see what we would feel translate well today while still being Break the Robot. And so we have a lot of flexibility with the project in a lot of ways, I feel, because it's so new still. Like we had one record and we did that, and it was very fun, and Todd wrote all the material for that record, And we wanted to kind of focus more on one genre too,
Mm-hmm.
especially at this time. That was a nice opportunity for us to stretch our legs and show a little bit of all the different sort of sources that we draw from inspiration wise. And I have a lot of rock and roll influence in my own life, and so does Todd and anybody in
Yeah.
the band. We're
And
kind of
Brian, I
a
mean,
rock band. Yeah, you're right. And so it's kind of fun to take things that I didn't necessarily see envisioned as even like more of like a lot of people have said it's like 90s, 80s rock sounding, but that's a lot of their vision married with mine at the
right.
same time. And it's this sort of new child that we've created, and Drake remains.
Yes.
And so the constant of the band in a sense is Drake, but
I
we
don't
did,
think there is a Break the Robot without Drake. I mean,
unless you break him. I mean, at this point,
don't break the robot in
no
like
jinx it.
parentheses.
Yeah, right. That should be the parentheses. Yes, but we've changed over a couple of elements of our band. We have a new drummer. We have less singers, and it's just more of a focus of us to have an image that's moving forward as like constant too.
Nice.
Not to say that anybody is excluded from this or like not involved in it, but
Right.
right now these are the people that feel comfortable coming out and doing it, and so
Yeah. I mean, and you're just working with what you have, right? And when you started figuring out what to do with Break the Robot, I mean, we were in like the throes of the pandemic. And so everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And you did have a very large band. I still remember the album release at Last Exit and trying to get everybody on that stage. That was crazy.
yeah. And I mean, we had ambitious designs for the band initially, and it was going to have horns, and there was a lot of different elements, and it's not
Yeah.
something that will make money.
Yeah,
And a lot of
I mean, this is like it's like passion project in a way, you know. It's like welcome to indie band life, right? But
exactly.
yeah, so I mean, but that's, you know, you're in the middle of this pandemic and you're trying to figure out what to do, and you still want to create, and you have been creating. And I
Yeah.
kind of like the idea of how your first album, I mean, having that be all Todd's baby, you know, for the
Yeah.
most part, with the creation and the music and just even coming up with Break the Robot and everything, but then taking it and it's like, oh, well, it's almost like here's the sequel and it's Sean's story, right? I mean, it's kind of neat.
You can look at it as like Marvel films sometimes will change over directors, but the story continues. You know what I mean? There's a
Right.
lot of
Yeah.
different, it's the same concept, and that there's just a new flavor added
Right.
to it, and it you can tell like in a sense as well, obviously, that there's like a different sound moving forward that we have than we did on the first record, but that should be
Exactly.
any artist's goal, I feel,
Yeah.
is to continually grow with the times. Look at the Stones. I mean,
Right. Oh, so many. Yeah,
yeah,
they've gone through so many personas and different types
it,
of music and yeah.
yeah. And so I mean, inspiration doesn't just come from music. The business aspect of it as well is very strong for us too. So
Right,
you know,
right. Exactly. And you definitely hear the change because when you dropped Spring back in, when was it? May? I'm like, time is still this weird thing for me. Like, how long ago was it? It was just a couple of months. You definitely hear it because it's it's I don't want to say a classic rock tune, but it's got that classic rock sound to it, right?
yeah,
And you definitely notice that it's different than listening to, say, you know, the A-list on the
oh
original
yeah,
album or something like that. You know, it's just a completely different vibe. And I love that. I love that because it just makes everything fresh again. And you have an amazing backstory to Spring, and I demand that you tell all the listeners.
yeah. Well, I mean, so like I said, a lot of these songs I've kind of written throughout the past few years, and this is probably one of the oldest songs that I'd written that I'd been sitting on. But about 10 years ago, I was auditioning for a theater show in town here. I do theater as well, or I used to before I got too busy with this. And I was auditioning for a show at Phoenix Theater, and my entrance into this room was just chaos. There was this, I don't know if anybody's ever been in a callback or anything like that, but there's a ton of people all buzzing around, energy's kind of all over the place. And then as soon as I kind of entered, just vroom, zoomed right in, and there was this person that I like connected with on a very emotional level, cosmic, I would say. And this is my wife. And so, yeah, she was standing there, and then it just sort of was a responsibility of mine, I felt, to sort of encapsulate this into a 3-minute period of music and to tell the story of it. And it's a beautiful song that just sort of chronicles the moment that I met my wife truly, and like this sort of love at first sight sort of feeling that you can sort of you see and you hear in the movies. And
Yeah.
it happened to me. I mean, like, it was really strange. I didn't expect for it to happen. I didn't go into that for that reason,
Yeah.
but I definitely, when I was in there, I was like, now I got to be good enough to stay so that I can like hang out with her and then, you know,
Get to
hopefully
know this woman here.
also, you know, to showcase, because we all, when we were doing the callback, we're doing it in front of everybody. So like we're all sitting in the auditorium while everybody is reading and singing from the show. And the show, just the title is Spring Awakening. And so the song I called Spring as a relation to acknowledgement to that. I didn't want to get it or anything, so I was like, we'll just make it spring.
Oh, I love it. It's a beautiful story. You had actually written that out when your anniversary of meeting her came up.
Yeah.
So and everybody, I mean, I know I was reading it going, I've got something in my eye. What's happening?
It was it's wild to think that it was that long ago, even when I think about when we're talking about time, like 3 months ago, when the song came out, I'm like reflecting on it when it was releasing, and I was like, wow, this was a decade ago. It was
I get it. I get it. My husband and I, we were high school sweethearts. And so I met him. When did I meet him? 88?
Wow.
Yeah. I've known him a minute.
You got us by a couple.
And sometimes I'm like, I look at our anniversaries or I look at my fully grown children and I'm just like, huh?
This happened.
How has all this time gone by? Wait, my hair was a completely different color then. This is crazy.
Yeah. You can change that. As you do.
That's true. It's true. I can, but I don't mind. But anyway, the time thing is crazy to think about. But I love the background on that song, and it's so much fun to have it here at KWSS and play it. And
we're so honored that you guys took it on, and it's been so wonderful, the reception locally that everybody's given us.
I know you're on like 8 million playlists now, and it's amazing.
Going for nine.
Might be exaggerating just a tad. Yeah. But well, too funny. So now you have this new single that at the time people are listening, it's going to be released tomorrow on Friday to everybody, and it is called Taste. And tell me a little bit about this one. It's a little bit, more sexy.
Yeah. Well, it is a little sexy, and what's wrong with being sexy?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
In general, conceptually, I was living in London and I had an entirely different palette than the culture that lived there at the time. And I was like, where are all of the foods that I like? And you're going to laugh, but like I had come back to visit America at the time. And this is like 2017. And I don't even remember, I was at my mom's house and she had this like little food snack thing. It's called a tasty cake. And they were really big where I grew up in Pennsylvania. And it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, wow, I forgot how good this tasted. And then literally I was like, okay, I can't write a song about a snack, but I will make it about so many different other avenues of things I've tasted and that I've missed. And it kind of evolved into, it could be interpreted as however you want it to be.
Of course,
I don't think it is outrightly saying like I'm tasting human flesh or like I want to suck your blood or anything.
This is gonna go sideways real quick now.
I'm kidding myself. But it's a 2.5-minute song of fun. I think it's a lot of fun it's energetic for sure. Mm-hmm. The highest energy song that we have out of the songs that we're going to be releasing in the future here. And, it's a nice little summer jam for us.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And it's funny because where my mind went the first time I heard it, because hearing this song and coming out of a pandemic and nobody getting together or seeing each other and everything, it wasn't even so much like a sexy thing. It was just more like I have missed life.
Absolutely.
That was my interpretation.
The oddest thing, and this has been something that I've noticed as analyzing my songs as we've continually looked at them, is that I wrote a lot of these songs in a time when societally the world was different.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's a radically different world 2 years later even. And so things that I was even applying to that were like directed at another president are now going to be like weird in this context because like it's a new president. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be an interesting dynamic to kind of like walk as we walk out. And when we were going through the songs, taste, I thought, wow, I forgot how good you tasted. You said it yourself. Like that's the opening line of the song. Mm-hmm. We all have something to relate to on this from this past 18 counting.
Yeah.
Mark,
for me, it was I missed the taste of live music and being at a show and that whole atmosphere. That's what I missed. So
absolutely.
And for you, it was just tasty cakes.
Well, it was tasty cakes. At least for one. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, everyone's about to hear this in the 9:39 local spotlight today, a little radio preview as it isn't going to officially drop until Friday. And then there's a video for this as well that'll be released next week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Directed by Ray Squared Productions.
Yay!
She did her first video, and that was a smash of a hit that she nailed it out of the park. Pleasure working with her. And then it's another little fun video that we created. We actually filmed both of these videos in the same day in like 4 hours.
Wow.
In one session. And so I mean it's pretty high quality stuff. Some high
no. Don't worry. I don't feel like you rushed through it.
It was conceptually sound. We knew what we wanted to do, so to speak, as like a base level when we got there. And then this taste was sort of a really fun idea that we just kind of all ran with, and it has, in my opinion, like shades of an OK Go sort of a vibe to it. Yes.
How fun. So you've been hinting this whole time about more songs and a possible album. So what's coming up for Break the Robot as we continue through this year?
Yeah, well, we got plans. We have more songs, definitely. Ambitions to definitely push a lot of that out there as best we can. We've been talking with Matt Keller up in Globe, and hopefully we're going to get up there at the end of the summer and start recording with him to round out the whole complete body of work. So hopefully due out early next year.
Fantastic. Well, definitely keep us posted on that. And maybe next time I'll be able to actually have you in here in the studio. I know, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's been another thing that I have missed the quote taste of is just like hugs. So if you want to use
more important,
it is just the whole contact with the community and people, and even seeing my family again was like this big emotional thing. It was just good stuff.
No, it's been a wild ride, and I applaud everybody that's made it so far.
Yeah,
absolutely. And and not lost it. We lost a lot of people along the way, but
that is true. Well, hopefully we'll do them proud, if you will, and maybe keep moving forward and just care about each other and be aware of each other and what we need to keep everything going. So yeah. Well, Sean,
break it.
Definitely. So
yes, it tried its best. The pandemic tried its best to break the robot. And,
it did, but no, the robot will not be broken.
Not this time. We will be the ones to break it, not you.
No. I want more robot. Yes.
Yeah, we'll have him out as soon as we get a show booked here locally to kind of like give everybody a taste of this stuff live.
Oh, nice little name drop there. See, you've like picked the greatest song titles. Spring, just throw that in anywhere. Taste, throw that in anywhere. Yeah.
Simple.
So nobody will forget the song titles and who you are.
No,
see?
I mean, I grew up in a time when like Fall Out Boy was naming songs. They were full paragraphs. Panic at the Disco were like, these are full paragraph songs. Like I slept with someone in Fall Out Boy and all I got was a song named after me. Like that was an actual song.
Yep. I know. It's like, no, we need to move past that.
Hey, the next song, elderly woman standing behind a counter.
There you go. Oh my goodness. All right, Sean, I'm so glad that you took some time out to chat today, and it was wonderful to see you. Anyone who's listening right now, I'll have the full video posted over on all of the social medias, and you can check it out. And right now, we're going to get a taste of taste. So thank you so much, Sean, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thanks for supporting Break the Robot. We love you.
Absolutely. Here's today's 9:39 local spotlight. Break the robot and taste.